What's happening, everyone? G Money Rowan here. Before the actual game starts, I just wanted to go over this deck, the main deck and the extra deck. Got to say this. I've been playing around with this deck for quite a while, and honestly, after I actually wanted to also make this deck in real life, but in Master Duels, they're a little bit behind on the cards for this support for the new Marincess monsters. But in Master Duels, I managed to make it still work. In real life, though, I'm making this deck not based on these cards I have here, but the real life version is gonna have like much more better support because they have new supports they just released for this archetype. So I'll go over real quick right now in Master Duels what do I have in here. So I have 2 copies of DD Crow. Basically just to banish any card in my opponent's graveyard just in case. 1 copy of Marincess Manuin. Basically, if I control 2 or more Marincess monster while this card's in my hand or graveyard, target one water wink monster I control, special summon this card to your zone that monster points to, but banish it when it leaves the field. So, good way for wink climbing. Maxi, just to get, obviously Maxi just basically allows me to draw cards, do it when my opponent special summons a bunch of monsters, so it's kind of a useful utility card, just to either A, get my opponent to stop, or they can just fill up my hand with so many cards I need. Next, 2 copies of Ash Blossom. I was thinking about 3 copies, but I think 2 for this deck at least. I think it works fine. I think it does. Next, see Archivers. What this does, if a monster is normal or special summon to a zone a link monster points to, except for doing Davidship, you can special summon this card from your graveyard or from the hand, so whichever to do, but banish it when it leaves the field. So good way for link climbing. Marincess Seahorse. So I can special summon this card from the hand to your zone a Marincess wink monster points to. So pretty good extend there. You can only special summon Seahorse this way once per turn. During the main phase, I can banish this card, except for the turn it was sent to the graveyard. I can banish this card from my graveyard to special summon 1 water monster from my hand to the zone the Marincess wink monster points to, which I don't really use this effect at all, since, well, at the moment, we need the new support for Master Duel, because honestly, the new support just makes the deck so freaking good. I love it. Anyway, moving on to Ice Knight. Ice Knight, I kind of experimented with it first. I wasn't too sure if it was gonna be good, but what you're about to see in the game, though, this actually came in pretty handy. Actually, this is actually a pretty handy card. This gives me basically an additional normal summon for any of my water monsters. So it's pretty nice, pretty nice. As long as I could have the else on the field, yeah. Additional normal summons. Marincess Butane. So if this card was normal or special summon, I could send 1 Marincess monster from my deck to the graveyard. So usually, if you had this in your hand, you usually want to send this to the graveyard, and then link this way into Boost Slug, and then activate Boost Slug to activate its effect to basically add Seahorse from the graveyard to your hand, and then you can special summon this to boost Slug's arrows. So pretty nice. Next, oh god, but Marincess Paculus. Sorry if I pronounced that name. I'm a little bit dyslexic a little bit. But anyway, if this card was normal special summon, I can special summon 1 Marincess monster from my hand in defensive position. So usually I try to see if I could get both the Butane and this in my hand at the exact same time. So I can actually go into not also Link plays, but I could also go into Xyz plays, which is pretty nuts. I love this deck for it again. Next I got 2 copies of Silent Sea Neta. So basically, if I control water monsters, I can special summon this from the hand. And also, I cannot special summon any other monsters except for water monsters the turn I activate this effect. That doesn't matter though, because all this extra deck is anyways all enough about water monsters. Pretty much this entire deck is enough about water monsters for the most part anyway, so it's no big deal. And then basically, if it's in the graveyard, I can banish this card, and I can target up to 3 water monsters from my graveyard and shuffle them back in the deck, which actually does come in pretty handy in some situations. Especially, I could actually recycle Totally Awesome and Bahama Shark or any other like water monsters from the graveyard to either the main deck or to the deck or the extra deck. Pretty handy. I kind of play Marincess Crown Tail as a kind of like a just an extra water monster for like for graveyard purposes. So I don't really use this card for like anything else besides, you know, resources for my for the, what's the name of this monster, for Great Bubble Reef, because of the fact that I can banish a water monster from my graveyard to basically draw a card. So pretty, it's just another extender. Next, I got 2 copies of Scapton. If I pronounce that wrong, my bad. Dyslexic again. Basically, I can banish one Cyberus monster from my graveyard, except for this one, and special summon this from your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a link summon of a Cyberus monster, you can target one banished monster, shuffle it into the deck. So, since mostly the Marincess monsters are all nothing but Cyberus, so that's actually pretty handy, pretty beneficial. I was thinking about playing a 1-of, but I decided to play a 2-of just in case if I need this. It's actually not too bad. Next, 1 copy of Nibiru. I barely get to use this card, but it is a nice little option to have, just in case if your opponent is going off, and if you need to kind of stop them in their tracks for the most part. This is actually pretty handy. Rarely get to use this, but super useful. 1 copy of Happy Feathers does this. It's right at the moment, again, missing some of the Marincess new supports, so I'm just wanting some useful spell cards to help me out. Monster Reborn, obviously, basically allows you to bring back a monster. World Legacy Secession, what this does, it's basically like Monster Reborn, but for Link monsters only. But basically, I could target one monster in my graveyard, special summon it to the zone, to your zone a Link monster points to, so any of the monsters, and I can only activate 1 per turn. So I have a 2-of. I didn't want to do a 3-of because I don't want to get bricked. Next, Cyanide Mining, pretty useful to have for this deck. Basically, I send 1 card from my hand to the graveyard, add the level 4 or Cyberus monster from my deck to hand, and I can activate 1 Cyanide Mining once per turn. So pretty handy to either A, let's just say I have Butane in my hand, but I say I don't have this in my hand. Then I can basically send a card from my hand to the graveyard with this, and while using this card, and then add this to my hand, or maybe add this to my hand. Depends on the situation, what it calls for. If I get really lucky, that is. Now, when it comes to Marincess Battle Ocean, now in the video you might see like a 2nd copy. I decided to risk it a little bit and knock it down to a 2-of. I mean, a 1-of, my bad. 2-of would be a pretty good choice to do, especially since right now we're missing some of the new support. But I'm risking it, and so far it's been pretty good for the most part. Next, 2 copies of Call by the Grave, basically just to prevent our opponent from hand trapping us. 3 copies of Infinite Pyramids, basically just to negate 1 face-up monster our opponent controls. So if they're about to do some plays, we can negate at least 1 of them, just to stop them in their track. And obviously if this was in set face down, not also negates monster effects when we target it, but any spell or trap cards in the same column as Infinite Pyramids was in, also negates it as well. Rarely this comes up, but it's actually pretty nice. And half of the time players don't pay attention, which I am one of them that don't pay attention, so I sometimes a big dummy there. Also Infinite Pyramids themselves. It's kind of funny. Now, last but not least, Marincess Wave. Now, I did want this as a 2-of for a while, but I feel like I really need this, just in case Infinite Pyramids does not come up half of the time, so this actually comes in pretty handy. So it pretty much acts like an Infinite Pyramid, so I could target 1 face-up monster my opponent controls, and negate that face-up monster's effect until the end of the sun. But the thing is, though, I need to control at least a Marincess Wink monster in order to activate this, and best part about it is, if I control a link to a higher Marincess monster, all face-up monsters you currently control are unaffected by your opponent's card effect until the end of the sun. So it gives it also your face-up monsters protection from card effects. And if I control a link for your higher Marincess monster, I can activate this from my hand. So that's why it's pretty much like Infinite Pyramids, but it requires an additional step. I think it's worth it. Alright, and go over the extra deck. I am wanting the totally awesome Behemoth Shark package. So totally awesome is basically the boss monster for water monsters. Basically what this does is it basically can negate anything I don't use it since it's, but I'm not gonna use its first effect. Well, I could detach one material from this card to special summon a fog monster, since obviously we're not playing fogs, plus I have a better way to cheat this out with Behemoth Shark, which I mentioned earlier about these two cards. These come in pretty handy when I want to XC summon into this. And then I could detach a material to, detach a material from this card to special summon a link free or XC's monster from the extra. And look at that, we have totally awesome. And actually, I can actually recycle these two back into the extra deck with this card here. So, and then I can bring them right back out again and do it over, because why not? And next we have, I have 2 copies of Marincess Boost Slug. You need to have at least a level 4 Marincess monster. If this card is Wink Summon, you can target 1 Marincess monster in your graveyard, except for this one, add it to the hand. So, when I mentioned earlier that if you have this in your graveyard, if you use Butane's effect to send it to the graveyard, then you get this added back to the hand, special summon this, then next I special summon out the Marincess Sea Angel, which this is also the same requirement. Level 4 lower, Marincess. And if this card is in the wing summon, you get to add a Marincess spell, which there's only one at the very moment in the game until Konami basically adds the new support, whenever that will be. I hope they speed up the process. It'd be pretty nice to have it. Next, we have Marincess Core Animon. Again, if I pronounce that wrong, my bad. I just need 2 water monsters, so. And then I can target 1 water monster with 1500 less attack in my graveyard and special summon it to the zone of points too. And this way I can, and then basically I cannot special summon anything else for the rest of the turn except for water monsters. And if this card is sent from the field of the graveyard, you can target 1 Marincess card in your graveyard except for this one and add it to the hand. Now it's this card, so it could be monster, spell, or trap, so it doesn't matter. So what I usually do with this is special summon out, let's just say for example I need, let's just say I need Butane or I need this, whichever the two. Then, if I have either or on the field beforehand, then I go into my XC's plays to summon out the Hammer Shark and then activate his effect to summon out Totally Awesome. And then I pretty much have my in-game board set up, which I'll go over the next I'll go over the next other Wink monsters in order to do that. I did 101 of Marincess Crystal Heart for a while, but I decided to bump it up at 2, just in case of, I went into a situation where I made a second one. Basically, basically what this does is unaffected by your opponent's card effects while this is in the actual monster zone, which is actually not too bad, but it has 0 attacks and everything, but doing the damage if this card battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's monster is unaffected by card effect except its own when this card or your Marincess Wink monster this card points to is targeted for attack. You can send 1 Marincess monster from your hand to the graveyard for that battle, and you cannot be destroyed by battle or you take no bad damage. I don't use this I don't put this in the actual monster zone. What I do instead, basically I use this one, and then I also link these 2 away to go into my link 4 monster. And if I have this out on the field, basically, if you use a Marincess Crystal Heart as a link material for that monster, it'd be unaffected by your opponent's card effects. So, basically, I link these 2 away together to go into the link 4s, which I have 2 of them in here, but I usually go for Great Bubble Reef, but I'll go over that in a moment. Next, Splash Mage. Pretty much a good backup, just in case if I already use the effect of this monster already. And say if I want to go for more extended plays, I can. Basically, it allows me to target a Cyberus monster in my graveyard, special summon it in defensive position, but negate its effect. And you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn, except for Cyberus monsters, which, again, it's not a big deal. Not a big deal. It's, for the most part, since all my Marincess monsters are all Cyberus anyway, so that actually works out pretty nice. And I could go into Wink plays and all that good stuff. Next, 2 copies of Marincess Maple Lock. Basically, what this does is when I could target 1 Marincess card in my graveyard, except for this one, add it to the hand. Then, once per turn, when an opponent declares an attack, you can send 1 Marincess monster from your hand to the graveyard for that battle. Monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, you take no battle damage. I don't really get a chance to use this effect because most of the time I'm using it to basically target a momentous card in my graveyard. So I can basically keep bringing back this, or if I'm going to need this just in case I lose this. So, but most of the time it's going to end up being the momentous wave. It's actually a pretty good card. Again, I did 1 or 2 up, but I'm going to do a 3 up. And then next, so we got momentous 1 hard. Now, I rarely get to use its one effect, where basically, once per battle, doing damage calculation, if this card battles a monster quick effect, special summon one of the momentous monsters equipped to this card, and this card cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no battle damage from that battle. Equip that special summon monster to this card during the end phase. And if this card is in the owner's possession, destroyed by the opponent's card, you can special summon 1 rank 3 or lower momentous monster from your graveyard. Again, I don't really get to use this effect as often as much as I like. I use it just an extra like high attack monster for later on, which you will see in the video. Last but not least, the another boss monster, momentous great bubble leaf. What this does is during each standby phase, you can banish 1 water monster from your graveyard or face up on the field, draw a card. Each time monsters are banished face up, this card gains 600 attack for each until the end of the turn. You can send 1 water monster from your hand to the graveyard to special summon 1 of your banished momentous monsters, and you can only use this effect of momentous grave bubble leaf once per turn. So, again, I use both this monster, I use both her and Crystal Heart, and go into her, and then while this is out on the field, basically my monster here basically is unaffected by card effects, and my opponent cannot target them. The only way they can get rid of that though is by getting rid of this, which my opponent did not able to do, because I don't think he realizes, or I don't know what happened. I don't know what was going on in this player's end, but boy, I'll tell you this was such a good game I honestly had, and honestly, it goes to show you how powerful this archetype is. I think, to me, in my opinion, right now in Master Duel, this is like at 50% of its power. It's a little bit weaker compared to the real life momentous cards, because the new supports makes it a lot more better. And honestly, I'm loving the deck, and I'm honestly can't wait to make it in real life. But anyway, enough of me yambling. I'm going to let you guys enjoy the rest of the gameplay. I hope you all have a good one. This is G Money Rowan here, and until then, farewell everyone.